What is ALV?
I've heard about it. Is it ABAP list viewer, right?
Yeah, ABAP list viewer or application list viewer,
Mhm.
where we display the data in form of list. So till now, if you go and check, we were displaying our data in form of a write statement in classical way, but which is not used much. We display output in form of ALV reports. Okay.
Mhm.
So ALV stands for ABAP list viewer or application list viewer. Application list viewer. ALV stands for ABAP list viewer or application list viewer. ALV report is a type of report in SAP that uses a, a standard list format, a standard list format and user interface to display the output, to display the data in a hierarchical format or tabular format in form of tables. Same way, either in hierarchical format or tabular format.
Mhm.
Okay, hierarchical or tabular format. There are certain features of ALV also. So some inbuilt features of ALV: sorting the data, filtering the data, exporting the data, sum of amount columns is also an integral part of ALV report, sum of amount columns. Okay. Now the question is how we will create a ALV. How we will create a ALV. We are going to create that. So for creation of ALV report, for creation of ALV, we are required to go through two steps. We are required to go through two steps. First one is creation of field catalog. Creation of field catalog, and then bind the data, with the field catalog. Creation of field catalog and bind the data with the field catalog. Now, if we talk about what is a field catalog and what is the binding the data here, simply means where is my data? My data is in internal table, right? My data is in internal table. We bring the data, we make the changes. Now we need to display it. So when I am going to display, where is my data? My data is in internal table. So first we need to create the field catalog. So what is a field catalog? Field catalog specifies field catalog specifies the structure of the ALV. Structure of the ALV. Structure of the ALV is specified in field catalog. It contains the details like columns, label, descriptions, comma formatting, etc. It contains all the details. So basically how our structure is going to output is going to be look like will be defined in your field catalog, and then we bind the data. So we use standard function modules standard function modules for binding the data with the field catalog. With the field catalog. We have some standard function modules, out of which the most popular one is reuse ALV grid display, which is used to bind the internal table data with the field catalog. So for creation of field catalog, we have a standard structure which we use, which is sys field cat ALV. This one is the standard structure which we use for displaying purpose. Okay, this one is
Mhm.
used for creation of field catalog. Once we will create the field catalog, and then we are simply going to bind our data with the output part. Okay, so let's open our recipe system and let's see how we are going to do that. 38 ALV grid, create title ALV display, and in the type I'm going for executable. In the package I'll select the package and transport request. Okay, perfect. So now I will simply go for, how do we start our doing? We start with creation of structure, right? This is what we do.
Yes.
Same thing we will follow. Okay, same thing we are going to do follow here. uh, Employee ID type, its data element. Employee name type, its data element. Department type, its data element. Manager type, its data element. Then we create internal table, the type table of PY employee, work area declaration, work area declaration. Then what we do? We define select option. So select option, MPID, type data element, select option, CMPID for the variable name. This is what we do. Then we go for start of selection and we write our logic. So select as the column names, from my table name into table LT employee, where employee ID in S employee ID, right? This is what we do, and then we display the data. It can be custom table, standard table, or anything. Okay. All right. So let's give a text element name here for our select option. So go to text element, and I will simply give a name here for this name, employee ID. I will simply give a name for it. Now, how do we are going to make change here? So with ALV coming into picture, we will require to go through 3 steps. Step 1 will be declaration of field catalog. Declaration of field catalog. So we will simply declare here a internal table and work area for our field catalog. LT field cat, I am naming it. Type table of my structure of field cat ALV. And I will declare the field cat of work area also, right? If I go and check this particular structure, you are going to find lots of column in it. Go and check, include, main. See here, lots of column, row position, column position, field name, table name, currency, C field name, C tab name, a quantity, tab name, round, exponent, key, icon, symbol, checkbox also, just lots and lots of columns are there of this field catalog, and we can use all of these properties based on the requirement. Okay, the minimum property that we must use for field catalog will be your field name, that is the column name, and what will be the heading of the column that you are going to display there. You can use any one of them. Okay, so these two properties are very crucial for us to use them. So what we will do, we will simply declare here. I will go for creation of field catalog. Now creating field catalog. So for each structure we will create our field catalog. So ls field cat, field name, I will pass my first column. My column name is employee id, so I will simply pass here employee id. Then I will pass my second column, field cat cell textile. There is some issue. Okay, the value of the column that will be displayed there. So let's say employee ID. This will be displayed as the heading, and I will do the append. So append ls field cat to lt field cat. Now simply clear the work area. So clear ls field cat. So this is your first column. Similarly, we will create field catalog for all the columns that we have, 4 of them, right? Let's create there. First, third, fourth. For employee name, we'll create employee name here. And then I will pass for the third one also, department. I'll give the value here also, department. And I will give the manager here also. So manager. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Simply activate it. It is done, no problem. So this is your creation of field catalog, declaration and then creation. Once you have created your field catalog, then you can simply go for the next step, which will be displaying or bind the data with the field catalog. Where is my data? My data is in internal table. So I will simply do the binding part. For binding, I have a very important function module, reuse ALV grid display. So I am simply going to call it pattern reuse ALV grid display. I'm simply calling this function module. And here we have lots of exporting and importing parameter. Again, it is a best programming practice to uncomment all the exceptions. In this out tab, I will simply pass my internal table data, LT employee, simply pass from here. And then here in the exporting parameter, uncomment the exporting, and you will find that we have a field catalog here. I am simply going to call that. So LT field cat, I am simply going to call that here. This one, I'm going to send my field catalog and my internal table. This function module will bind the data and it will display the output. You can go and check. Let's pass some value here, 107. Execute. See,
Mm-hmm.
this is ALV display. Also, you can change the layout of this ALV. Also, we also have here a parameter is layout. We have a parameter is layout here. Let's say I'm naming it ls layout. and I will simply go and bring its type from the internal function module. Let's go and bring here in the importing, you will find this easy layout. Yes, this one, I need this structure, just copy it, come back. I will declare this structure, data ls layout, type this structure name slash layout ALV, and just before displaying it, okay, let's do something with this structure. We have two important columns of it. Call width optimize. I am simply going to optimize our columns on the output screen, and I have something more here, which is zebra crossing. I can display in form of zebra also here. I'm marking it true. I'm simply sending its value true from here. So now this layout will change. Let's go and check. Execute. Execute. See, column has been optimized with the length of the text that it contains. The
Mhm.
column has been optimized with the length of the text that it contains, and our all the rows has been changed into zebra crossing format, right?
Yes.
This is your ALV display. Also, you can see the functionalities of ALV sorting. You can see here sorting, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can do filtering also. Let's do the filter based on employee name. I'm defining some value. Let's say I'm giving value here, Abhishek. Okay, employee name is not that long. Let's do filter on some other column. Employee ID. Yes, I will define the value. I just want 101. I will go and check. See, only one. I have filtered it. You can mail it. You can export it. You can do lots of things because of this ALV. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now we have one more thing here. You can see lots of parameter are there. You can create your own function from it. But before that, let's use this top of page. I want to give a heading for my ALV. So I will use this I callback top of page, and I will pass a name here. Let's say I'm naming it top page. Top page. So whatever name you are passing, you will be required to create a subroutine with the same name. And if you remember in the previous session, we saw form and end form are subroutine, right? Same thing we will pass here, form, top page, and form. I will simply pass it, and in it we can write the value. We can give the value to define our top of page. So again, for top of page, we have a very important function module which is used, which is the name of the function module is reuse ALV commentary write, which is used to give a top of page in ALV. You can use this reuse ALV commentary write function module, and you can see here we have a by default mandatory internal table which is used to send the text. So I will simply go in it and I will bring its type. I will go here. I will bring its type slash list header. In this list header, I can see here I have three important columns type. So I can give the text on header, selection, and action. Three types are there. Action will be the smaller one, selection will be the bigger one, h header will be the most bigger one, and in the info you can write the text value. This list entry is of 60 characters. You can text send value based on that. So I will simply declare internal table and work area for this structure. In it, I will simply declare one. Let's name it LT list. Type table of my structures, list header, and ls list type of this structure. Okay. Now in this structure, I will simply give the value. So type, I will give the value as header for h. I'll give the value here as header, and then I'm simply going to pass some text that I want to display. So info, in the info I will send the text which is employee details. This is what I'm going to send from here. I will simply append the value, append ls list to lt list, and I will clear the work area. So clear ls list. Now once I have data, I will simply send my internal table lt list. Okay, I will simply send it,
Mhm.
and this one is going to be displayed as my header there. Let's go and check our ALV. Nothing is getting displayed. Why nothing is getting displayed? Because what we are doing here, I am calling this particular subroutine after displaying of the output. I am simply calling this. So if you want to call any of the parameters again, we have here a important parameter I callback program. This I callback program, you will be required to pass your program name in it, where you are, it is mandatory, so that system understand which program I have to recall it, and in which program I have this particular subroutine. Okay,
Mhm.
so now I have passed my program name, so system understand this subroutine will be called, and we will get the output here in the form of heading employee details,
Yes.
right? The same thing that we have written there. So instead of program name, you can also pass the system variable. You can also pass the system variable there, which is sci-rep id. Sci-rep id is the system variable for program. You can directly pass that one also. It will work in the same way. See,
Mhm.
okay, displaying ALV along with the heading. Also, we can make our ALV interactive. So this is again one of the important thing, interactive ALV. Interactive ALV. But before that, we have some other properties of field catalog also. Let's say if you want to change some value, so you can make your column editable also on the output. Edit equal to true. You can make your column editable also. Plus field cat edit equal to true. Okay, you can make your column editable also. See, it has become
Yes.
editable, right? We can change it, we can write logic for it also. So interactive ALV, so we can interact with the output of ALV. We can interact with the output of ALV. This is the feature of our ALV report that we have, that we can easily interact with the output of the ALV. What you are required to do is, let's say I have a requirement. My requirement is to display the project data. Okay, my requirement, let's say I have a requirement to display the project data. When I'm double clicking on the output of ALV, on the output of ALV. When I'm double clicking on the output of ALV, I want to display my project details data of my item table. When I'm double clicking on, I want it to take me. Okay, so for
Mhm.
everything, SAP has given us functionality. Okay, for everything, SAP has given us functionality. If you are giving a user command, double clicking on it, you can see here I have a parameter I callback user command. Okay, for the same purpose, I will also have to create a subroutine for that. So I will now go inside this function module and I will simply bring that subroutine. Okay, I will click on this filter button, find button, and I will search for this I callback user command, press enter. I will go inside this list display now, list display. I will again go for this find button and I will search for it. Yes, I have got this function module KKBHIR sequence list display. Now I will go inside that and I will simply search for this user command. I can see we have a user command here value. So a subroutine must be implemented. I will press Control F and I will search for this user command. Enter. Let's go and search for it. Below, subroutines are always written at the last, so I will go below. Here I have got my subroutine. Can you see? Form user command.
Yes.
So either you can simply remember it, or you can simply go and find this every time whenever you are going to need it. So I'm simply copying and I will bring it in my program. I will simply bring it. back, back. I will simply bring it, and here I am simply going to define the same subroutine and form, form and form. Okay, this is the subroutine name given there. I want to change it. Let's name it secondary list. I am naming it secondary list, and I am simply going to use here this I callback user command uncomment, and I will pass the same name here, secondary list. So this guy is going to be called when I will double click on any of the row, secondary list. Okay, let's go and check. I will put a breakpoint here and I will check whether it is triggering or not. If it is triggering, I can write the logic to display my second ALV, right? I can simply write it. So go for execute and double click on any of the row. Yes, breakpoint is hitting. We are in debugging mode. It simply means that I can easily write logic for this ALV also, right? We can simply write logic for this ALV also. So now what I will do, I will simply write logic for this thing. Okay.
Mhm.
So for item, I need a structure again. So let's create the structure for item also. So types begin of ty project, employee ID, type its data element, project ID, type its data element, project name, type its data element, and I will simply create its internal table also. Same stuff. Let's create it. LT project, type table of TY project. I will simply create here. Now again I will follow the same approach that we did for our employee data, declaration of field catalog. I need field catalog for my item now, right? Same thing.
Mhm.
So I will name it IT field cat 2 this time, ls field cat 2. Now inside this particular secondary list, I need to check where I am getting the value. When I'm double clicking on it, where I'm getting the value. So I will again put a breakpoint and I'm going to check where I'm getting the value. I'll go for execute, execute. I will double click on any rows. I will double click on any rows. I will go to desktop 3 and I will double click on this particular parameter rs cell field. And if I go into this structure, you can see here in the value column, I am getting the my value, right? In the value column, I am getting my value. So based on this value, what I can do now, I can write my logic. I can simply write my logic. So now I will come back and I am simply going to write the query on my item. So select employee ID, project name from my table name. Okay. Into table LT project where employee ID is equal to my RS cell field and it has a value column which consists of my value. Okay, I will simply go for that. I will check for the data if data is coming in my item table or not. So if LT project is not initial, is not empty, then I'm simply going to display it. I will check for it and then I'm simply going to display it. If LT project is not empty, then I'm simply going to display it. So I will go for field catalog creation for all these three columns. ls field cat 2. We have a field name column here. Let's go and check that. We have first field name employee ID, then its value cell text L, I'm going to name it employee ID, and I'm simply appending it. So append ls field cat 2 to lt field cat 2. Okay, I will clear the work area. I will simply clear the work area. So for all these three columns, now I will create this field catalog. Okay, I will simply create it for project ID also. Name is very crucial here, Alan. If there is a
Mhm.
single mistake in name, your field catalog will not be created clearly and you might get a runtime error. Okay, so
Yes.
whenever you are getting any error and you are not able to find that, it simply means that first go and check the field catalog and the parameter names that you have given here. Okay, you might have given some wrong name or maybe something in smaller capital letters which do not work, right? So first go through your code, understand it, that if you have made some mistake, and then you can simply check it. So project ID, at last project name, and I will simply give a value that will be displayed there. So project name. Okay,
Mhm.
then I will bind the data with field catalog. So again, I will simply call my function module reuse ALV grid display. I will uncomment the exporting parameter also. I will pass my field catalog here, lt field cat 2, and in the internal table I will pass my item data. So lt project. Uncomment all the exceptions and activate the code. Okay, again, whenever you are going for secondary list display, do one thing, always clear the field catalog before recreating it. Okay, always clear it, because let's say I'm reloading it, I just pressed back button and I started to reload my secondary list. So the data will be reloaded in LT field catalog and previous data will also be there. So it can cause duplicacy there. So it is a good approach that just before creation of field catalog, just refresh it. Okay.
Mhm.
Now let's go and check the output. Go and check. Double click on the employee ID. See, we are getting project data now. 103, 104. Okay,
Yes.
105. So this is interactive ALV. We have also saw interactive classical report. Now it has become interactive ALV report, right? It has become
Mhm.
interactive ALV report. We can also give a top up phase for it. Let's uncomment this I callback program. I will pass the system variables I rep ID, and in this top up page I will simply create it. So let's name is top page 2. I'll simply copy this and I will create a subroutine. Subroutines are always defined at the last. So form top of page 2 and form. And in this top of page, let's just copy the same thing. We have already created it. I'm just copying it and I'm simply pasting here. I will just change its value to ltlist2 so that system will not confused. 2, 2, 2, 2. I will pass here itlist2, and I am simply changing its heading value to project details. Okay,
Mhm.
right, project details will be displayed. Now let's go and check, activate, execute, double click. See see Okay,
Ah, yes. Mhm.
so here whatever changes you are going to made on this basic list, So whenever your first subroutine is called, this subroutine is you are calling here, in it you will receive that changes in your LT employee data.